Yahoo Fantasy Football, the Tucson Tackle Dummies, has completed the Week 2 matchups. We're going to be looking at what happened in Week 2 with a brief preview of Week 3. Divisional play continued in Week 2 and will continue into Week 3. Let's get straight to the games. Your Amtrak Game of the Week saw the Pain Trains knock off AZ Chargers in the week's closest battle, 115-68 to 106-47. Pain Trains rebounds from a Week 1 loss to move to 1-1 overall, while Chargers is now at the bottom of their division, 0-2. For Pain Trains, just 5 players beat projections, while Chargers had 7 players beating projections, and Pain still came out on top, mainly because Pain had 6 players in double digits for scoring, while Chargers only had 4. On the offense, Pain Trains shined at running back, had 39.19 from 3 running backs, including top 2 scorers Sean Moreno and Steven Jackson. Chargers, disappointment at quarterback this week. Brett Favre managed just 4 points, once again looking rusty at the helm for the Vikings. Chargers, though, the bright spot on offense, Malcolm Floyd, a good showing with 16.25 for a team high. Tight end this week was a key battle for both teams, as both teams were very disappointed with the turnout at that position. Rob Gronkowski for AZ Chargers was projected less than 3 points this week and scored even lower. On the other side of the ball, Pain Trains went with Bo Scaife, equally disappointing at his performance at tight end this week. On the defensive side, the defense was defined by 2 star defensive linemen. For Pain, it was the Denver defense earning 10 and Mario Williams at defensive lineman adding 10.5. For Chargers, the Green Bay defense chipped in 12, and Dwight Freeney, the defensive lineman, scored 10.5. So an equal performance by both teams on the defensive side, but Pain Trains scores big on offense. Also in action this week, Inglorious Bear Jew defeated Delicious Pancakes 123-76 to 110-66. Both teams are now 1-1. For Bear Jew, a balanced attack takes the win, with 7 players breaking projections. Pancakes had 8 players beat projections, but just 4 in double digits to Bear Jew's 7. Bear Jew had Michael Vick, the leading scorer, with 23.06 for his squad. Bear Jew needed 14.35 from Steve Smith at wide receiver to make up for Devin Arishmadu's 0 big donut at the wide receiver position this week. Bear Jew got 26.55 from 2 running backs, Ray Rice and Peyton Hillis, both had excellent performances, and then added 11 points at kicker from Seabass, Sebastian Janikowski. Pancakes got 23.9 from 3 wide receivers. 2 of those, Donald Driver and Derek Mason, scored over 10. The third one, Steve Breston, a very disappointing 1.75. For Pancakes at quarterback and at running back, Joe Flacco and Maurice Jones-Drew, non-factors. The leading scorer for Pancakes, Antonio Gates, with 18.95. Pancakes on the defensive side was a disappointment. 3 of 6 broke projections, but none of those players reached double figures. Bear Jew had 10 from a turnover-happy New Orleans defense, and then surprise scorer LaRon Landry with 12 points at defensive back helped to secure the win for Bear Jew. Also in action, Is This the CFL? Defeated Free Roethlisberger 145-41 to 121-53. Both teams are now also 1-1. CFL with 8 players exceeding projections, 4 on each side of the ball, picking up 35.5 from 3 wide receivers, Wes Welker, Mario Manningham, and Austin Collie. 2 players were in the 20-plus range, with Phillip Rivers with 23.36 and high scorer Adrian Peterson with 25.85. Free Roethlisberger exceeded projections with 6 players for a good score in a losing effort. 3 offensive stars picked up good returns, Matt Ryan, Miles Austin, and Garrett Hartley at kicker. Free Roethlisberger, though, losing Michael Turner to injury early in their game, in the Falcons game, led to Turner only returning 7.5 while his backup blew up this week. CFL lost Kevin Falk for the season and only got 4.2 before Falk went down, so that will hurt CFL at the running back position going forward. CFL shined on defense, though, with 3 players in double digits. The Kansas City defense with 12, Brandon Flowers of the Kansas City defense with 13.5, and Clay Matthews added 11. Tracy Porter also beat projections, adding 9.5. Free Roethlisberger countered with 21 points from the Miami defense, and only 19.5 from the rest of the defense. The other disappointment, Free Roethlisberger only got 3.4 out of running back Felix Jones. In other action, Sixburg knocked off Diabetes 139-26 to 106-28. Sixburg matches its 0-9 win total in just 2 weeks. This team only won 2 matchups all last year and has already started 2-0. A huge individual performance for both sides overcomes roster woes for both sides. Sixburg had 71.15 from 3 running backs. That's 51% of the team's total scoring. Frank Gore, 31.55, and high scorer LaShawn McCoy for Sixburg, 31.8. This all overcame the fact that Sixburg started an injured Matthew Stafford at quarterback. Diabetes, much the same, got double-digit scoring from quarterback, wide receiver, and running back positions, but also started the injured Sidney Rice. Diabetes then also put up bad performances from Heath Miller with 1.8 at tight end, and wide receiver Pierre Garcon with 1.35. Both teams with big scores on team defense, though, and no help from the rest of the defense, as Sixburg picked up 18 from the San Diego defense, and the rest of his defense scored 18.36. Diabetes, the high score for the week, 28 from the Pittsburgh defense. The rest of his defense scored just 13.5. In other action, Bucknuts knocked off Greek Thunder 140.47 to 107.1. Bucknuts now improves to 2-0 after another decisive victory. Buck was 6 of 8 on offense in double digits, overpowering Greek on that side of the ball. Lead scorer for Bucknuts, Peyton Manning with 21.9, and then 37.32 points from 3 wide receivers, including Deshaun Jackson's 21.3. Bucknuts also had a great day from kicker Neil Rackers with 14. Greek with a matchup high from 26.2 from quarterback Aaron Rodgers, and Greek's 2 tight end set paid off once again, picking up 22.1 from the combination of Vernon Davis and Jermichael Finley. Bucknuts, though, on the offensive side got 11 points from James Laurinaitis at linebacker. Greek had a bad defensive performance with just 18.5 total points, and 10 of those coming from the Minnesota defense. In other action, Polax knocked off My Dirty Boys 95.99 to 62.2. Both teams this week were in a group of just 3 teams that failed to score 100 points this week. Dirty Boys picked up the lowest score of any team this week. Dirty only had 3 players meet projections this week, with leading scorer being Alex Smith at quarterback with 17.8. The only other player to manage double-digit points was Santana Moss with 10.6. The defense for Dirty Boys was dreadful with just 7.5 total points. 4 players scored 0. For Polax, only 3 players beat projections. Out-dueled Dirty Boys at quarterback, though, with a game-high 21.04 from Donovan McNabb. Polax had a terribly low score on defense, but still doubled the points that Dirty Boys put up. In other action, Jammed Toe knocked off Shots 162.17 to 124.66 in a high-scoring affair. Shots is now off to an 0-2 start after going last season 11-3, while Toe now holds the #1 seed in the league after a huge performance on both sides of the ball. For Jammed Toe, 11 of 14 players beat projections, and 11 players were in double digits. However, none of those players, surprisingly, were over 20 points. For Toe, the highest scorer, Dustin Keller at tight end with 19.25. Toe also picked up 35.26 points from 3 running backs, including 11.26 from Reggie Bush before he broke his leg. Jammed Toe with 13 out of Jeff Reed also shows that he can score at kicker. Shots got 43.45 from Javid Best. That's the second highest individual score in league history, the record being held by Diabetes in 2009 with a 46.4 in week 2 using Chris Johnson. Shots, though, the rest of the offensive squad, or the rest of the team rather, only 3 other players beat projections. That included a 0.0 out of TJ Hushmanzada that really brought this team down. The 2 tight end set that has been used successfully by Greek Thunder still not working for Shots, as those 2 tight ends for Shots Jason Witten and Owen Daniels managed just 9.25 combined. For Toe, the defense, 5 of 6 beat projections, and Shots, just 1 defensive player beat projections, as Shots was outmanned and outdueled on both sides of the ball. And in the biggest blowout of the week, DM2 Carp defeated Herbie TG 170.91 to 98.11. Herbie was one of just 3 teams that did not crack 100 this week. Both teams are now 1-1. Carp with the second highest score this week in league history, the highest being Torn Tendons 179.18 in 2009. Herbie had the second lowest score of the week against the week's top scorer, so picked a really bad time to post a low score. Carp with 120.91 on offense alone, capitalized big time on the Houston Texans' success in their game, using Matt Schaub to Andre Johnson to combine for over 50 points. Carp had 7 of 8 offensive players beat projections. The only player that didn't do that was 5.75 points out of Anquan Bolden. Herbie, the high scorer on that squad, Tim Hightower with 18.9, but a very disappointing performance at wide receiver from Hines Ward, who managed just 1.15 as the Steelers lost their quarterback to injury and had no one to throw to him. Herbie was also very lackluster on defense, while Carp put up a 17 spot from the Indianapolis defense. Looking ahead to next week, Week 3, divisional play will continue. Let's take a look at the Wildcat division. All 4 teams are currently at 1-1. All of them are ranked 4th through 9th, somewhere in there. So all these teams are looking pretty good after just 2 games. CFL will take on Bear Jew in one matchup, and the other matchup will see Free Roethlisberger taking on Delicious Pancakes. In the Caballero division, number 1 ranked Jam Toe will take on Herbie TG, and DM2 Carp will face off with Shots. In the Aztec division, top team in that division, Sixburg, at 2-0, will take on 0-2 Dirty Boys. And the teams ranked at 1-1 right now, Polax and Diabetes, will face off in the other matchup. And in the Toro division, Bucknuts will take their shot at the Pain Trains, and Greek Thunder will face off with AZ Chargers. So that's a look ahead at Week 3. We've taken a look at Week 2. We hope to see you back next week. The video will return on Tuesday next week, so I'll see you back next Tuesday for a Week 3 recap in the Tucson Tackle Dummies League.